Hello students, this is Tarannum Jahan and I hope you people are doing well. So here I am again with you all people in order to start the new chapter from geography. So let's start the new chapter from geography. So this is a chapter 4 from the geography for the class 9 and the book we are following is NCERT and the chapter name is climate. So here, in order to understand this chapter, you should be very clear with the first two chapters of the geography, that is the India size and location and the physical features of India. And if you people are very clear with that chapters, then you will be definitely understand what is climate then. Because all these three chapters are interrelated to each other. When we are doing this climate, we'll also have a revision of that first two chapters. And here in NCERT, only the outline of this climate has been given to you all people, which is not necessary in order to understand it. We have to understand this chapter in depth. So I'll explain you in detail what it is. So that this concept of climate should be very clear to you all people. So let's begin with this climate here. It is not that uh, as it has been made that the climate chapter is the toughest chapter in the geography, but it is not at all. If you will take the interest in order to understand this chapter, it's an interesting chapter. You will love to have a geography after listening to the chapter here, but concentrate on each and every point what has been said. So here we'll see how the climatic changes take place, that how the rainy summer and this day and night occurs, and what is the difference between the climate and weather. And we'll also understand that why India is called as a monsoon type of a climate, how the climate is controlled by the different aspects like latitude, altitude, what all these things are. So we'll discuss each and everything under this in this chapter, the climate, we'll discuss in detail, so that the concept should be very clear to you all people, and this will help you in the further studies. So that is, if you are coming to the further classes, the next classes, the higher classes, if you are clear with this concept, this will definitely help you in your higher classes too. So try to understand this chapter and listen to it carefully what I'm saying then. Now let's see the first, the weather and the climate. What is the difference between the weather and the climate? If we ask anyone, they will say that they are the one and the same. They are synonymous to each other. They have the same meaning. But no, weather and climate are totally different. Here weather is like if it is the state of atmospheric record at a given point of time. So here usually nowadays we are seeing that the morning we get up, we are having a bright sun, but just after few hours, that is 2-3 hours, we are just seeing that the cloud has become completely black, and it had become windy, and suddenly it starts raining. So it is the atmospheric record, a variation within a given point of a time, like within a 1 hour, within a half an hour, the weather is going to change. So here the weather is changing within a given point of time. So this is called as weather. The change every moment and varies throughout the day. So complete day it changes, it varies. Suddenly it's raining, suddenly it's very bright sun, suddenly it's windy. So it is just a variation within a day is called as weather. Whereas climate, here climate is a sum total of weather conditions. Sum total, underline this is sum total of weather condition and a variation over a large area for a long period of time, that is more than 30 years. Now I'll explain you with example this one. It is a sum total. So here if I say just an example like Russia. The moment I say Russia, what exactly comes into your mind? Long coats, snow, it's very cold, because Russia is having more of the winter season than compared to the summer season. So here the variation of the particular region, the sum total of that variation of that particular region for a long period of time, they are having more of winter than compared to the summer. So they have created an image that the Russia is having a winter seasons every time rather than the summer season. So the image which has been created by the sum total of the weather condition for over a period of 30 years, in around 30 years, whatever the variation they will be having in the weather condition, more of summer or more of winter, that variation is called as climate. So it is a long variation, whereas the weather is just a time to time variation. and the climate is a long variation of about 30 years. With this, the region is creating an image. As I have given an example, that the moment Russia has been said, the it stuck to your mind that yes, long coats, ice everywhere, it's very cold. But usually Russia even have summer, Russia even have rainy season. But the moment we see, because the image has been created, the sum total of that season of that particular region is winter. So that is the image that has been created by the Russia, that they are having more of winter. Though the variation of the season for a month, it is different. They even have rainy season, they are having summer too, they are having winters too, but winters are more than compared to the summer and the rainy season. So the image has been made in the Russia is having a winter season. So the longer period of the variation which the region is having is called as climate. But the elements of the climate and the weather are same. The changes of the weather and the climate, due to which the weather and the climate changes are same, like temperature. Every time the temperature up and down, temperature, atmospheric pressure, wind, humidity and precipitation. All these elements are same for the climate and the weather, but there is a difference between the climate and the weather. Now let's see why weather fluctuates during the day and in the night. So here usually weather changes within a day, but sometimes they follow the common pattern. Like from November to March, we see cold weather, isn't it? But though it fluctuates sometimes it is low, sometimes it is very high, extreme cold, sometimes it is not that much cold, but still we say that it is a cold weather. So this is what the season we said it as, it follows a common pattern. Though it is fluctuating, but we still say it's a cold weather. So that is called as a common pattern. So in the same way, if you knew that for 4 months we will be having winter, the next 4 months we will be having summer. So in this way, we generalize the monthly, the atmospheric condition of the year. So the year is divided into different seasons, and even the world is divided into different climatic regions. As I'm saying that about India, even India is divided into different seasons. In the same manner, even the world is divided into different climatic regions. India has a monsoon type of climate, we say. Now, why we are saying that India is having a monsoon type of a climate? With the sum total variation, the same thing like Russia, I said, the sum total variation of Indian climatic condition for 30 years have been recorded. And if we check the data, it has been according to the Indian data, it is called that more of the monsoon is there in India. So we Indians, we have the monsoons separately, like southern side they are having different months of for the monsoons. Tamil Nadu side is having different months of the monsoon. Again, if you go to the Jammu and Kashmir side, different months of the monsoon. So that is the reason why India is having a monsoonic type of climate. So here that is the reason why India is called as a monsoon type of a climate. So according to the wind that is flowing and getting a moisture and bringing a rain into the India, we usually find more data of rainy season in India. So that is, we call it as India as a monsoon type of a climate. Now let's see what is monsoon. Now we often relate the monsoon to rain, isn't it? Monsoon is nothing but the moment we say monsoon, the answer comes into your mind, rain. But monsoon is not only rain, it is overall climatic zone. The word monsoon is derived from the Arabic word called mausim, which literally means season. Monsoon refers to seasonal reversal of the wind direction during a year. Suppose now the wind is flowing towards the northern side, but the same way during the certain period of time flows toward the south side. So wind is same, but it is changing its direction. So, but due to this change in the direction, bring different season in a year, like summer, rainy and winter. Each direction is called as with a certain names, like southeast wind, northeast wind. So I'll give you a trick in order to remember this, because many times in this chapter we are going to relate to these words. What is southwest monsoon, what is northeast monsoon? So here see the diagram over here, I have drawn that north, south, west and east has been here. So here when the winds are going from down to upward, that means that these winds which are going from down to upward, they are going from The southwest monsoon. How we call these winds as southwest monsoon winds? Because just see the tail of this wind, from where this tail, and see what is coming in the box, that square has been made. This square consists of west and south. So here that is the reason why this tail is having the south and western side of the map. So that is the reason why we call these winds as southwest monsoon. Again, if the same wind is coming down by having its tail towards north and east, then we call the same wind as northeast monsoon. Wherever the tail is making a triangle, that name is given to them. Now, namkaran of this tail will be given to this wind or a monsoon winds. So these are the monsoon winds which are bringing the monsoon to the places, to the regions. So here we are going to use this term. That is why I just want to you all people to be very clear with this, that how we call it as a southwest monsoon, how we say it as a northeast monsoon, how we call it as a southeast monsoon or a northwest monsoon. So this is how we calculate it. The wind is flowing wherever the tail is, the tail of the wind, we just give the name according to that, west, south. Now the tail is toward the south and west, so we have given this name to it is southwest monsoon. Now let's see the temperature and the precipitation affects the climate of India. So let's see, the first is temperature. Now when you usually listen to the forecast of the news, they say that the monsoon is coming to the India by June. Do you think that only by June the complete India will have a rainfall? They'll have a monsoon. Everywhere it will be a rain? No. It is not that all area will have a rainfall at a time and at the same variation. No. Everywhere as per the temperature they will get the amount of rainfall. Like we even see the variation in the temperature. Like in summer, the temperature at some part of the Rajasthan reaches 50 degrees Celsius, whereas it remains around 20 degrees Celsius in Falgam. And similarly, during winter, the temperature of Kashmir is minus. On the other hand, the Trivandrum, if you come down to the tip, the Trivandrum may have a 20 degrees Celsius. That is very hot. Then compared to the Kashmir, Kashmir is having a minus degree, very cold. Whereas if we are coming to the Trivandrum, we are having a 22 degree Celsius, it is very hot. So why there is? So there is a variation in the temperature. If you go to the north and the southern side of the Indian side only we are talking about. We are not talking about the whole Indian side. If we are going, so we are having a lots of variation in the temperature. Rajasthan is having some different temperature. Falgam is having different temperature. Kashmir is having different temperature. Trivandrum is having different temperature. So there is a variation of the temperature. So even during the day and night we see a variation in the temperature. Now we have seen the region's temperature. Now we will see even the days and nights have a lot of variation in the temperature. So usually now we are seeing that the days are very hot, but the moment it's evening, the night, the temperature falls and we have a very breezy temperature. It's quite normal, not that hot as we were feeling in the day, and it gets quite normal when it comes to the night. So why we are having that variation even in a day? But whereas if we go to the coastal areas is nothing but near the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. If we see the Mumbai or whatever the places those are there, Gujarat, Mumbai, the coastal area places, we don't find much of the differences in the day and night variation because they are near the sea. This we'll have a separate point for that why the coastal areas is having a common temperature even in a day and night. We'll discuss this, but as you know, I think you have understood why it is. Just because the ocean is very near to it, whatever the winds are flowing over there, they bring the breezy winds even in the day, they bring the breeziness even in the night. So that is the reason why they are having a common temperature even in the day and night. But if we come to the interior part of the India, we are having a lot of variation. The day temperature is completely different, the night temperature is completely different. So even the temperature plays a very important role in order to change the climatic condition of the separate regions. So now we have seen that separate regions are having in the same country, different states are having different temperature. There is a variation of the temperature everywhere within India, and even there is a variation within the day. Even complete day, if we see that day is having a separate temperature, night we are having just falling off with the temperature, and we are having a breezy temperature during the night. So why there is even the temperature is affecting the climate. Now let's see, the next is precipitation. We have discussed about the temperature. Now we will see how the precipitation is affecting the climate. So similarly, we have a variation in the form of the precipitation too. Snowfall in the upper part of the Himalayas, we do see. Why we are having a snow in the upper part of the Himalaya? Due to altitude. Now what is this altitude? We'll discuss this in detail. These are certain terms which are coming in the middle. We are going to discuss all these terms in detail about it. Then we have 400 centimeter of rain in Meghalaya. Now why Meghalaya is having 400 centimeter of rain, which is the highest rainfall which has been recorded in India? Why? Because Meghalaya is having certain hills over there. So when the clouds that are coming filled with rain, they stuck there because of that hills. They just can't move forward, and by stucking in those hills, they give rain to that area. So that is the reason why the Meghalaya is having the highest percentage of the rain that has been recorded in India, around 400 centimeter. Now where is Meghalaya? It is just upper towards Bangladesh. And so here we have to talk about the Meghalaya having 400 centimeter of the rainfall. Similarly, in Ladakh and the western Rajasthan, we are having only 10 centimeter of rain. So see the variation of the rainfall now. 10 centimeter somewhere, 400 centimeter somewhere. So there is a variation of the precipitation over here. And rainfall, usually they come from June to September. As we said that we are called as we are having the monsoon season during the period of June to September, isn't it? But there are certain areas where they have a rainfall during the month of October and November. See, this I'll be clearing you with these maps. See here the first wind, see the tail, where it is the first southwest monsoon. So these are the winds which are flowing, which are bringing the monsoon to the southwest. So they are directly going toward the southwest. So here this area will have the rainfall, the southwest winds. This Mumbai will have, then on the upper part it will be going like Delhi, so interior part. But whereas near the Tamil Nadu, we don't have rainfall during the June and September. So here, why the June and September they are not having the rainfall? Because the winds are going from the south, the southwest winds are going towards the northern side. So that is the reason why they are having the slightly slant, and then they are not going towards the Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu will not have the rainfall during that period. But the same wind they will return back in the next map. If you see that these winds which are going upward are returning back. So these winds are now coming from which side? North east. So these northeast monsoon winds, when they return back and which have been flowing from the Tamil Nadu, so they take a certain period. So here they are having June to September the rainfall in the by southwest monsoon. But the same wind when they are returning, here the Tamil Nadu will have the rain during the month of October and November. So the duration of the wind returning is completely different. So here that is the reason why in the some part of the India we are having the rainfall in June to September, and the some other part we are having the rainfall around October to November because of these winds. Now we'll study about this wind, how these winds are going flow. So here these are the certain topics, certain things which you should be clear in order to understand the main topics. So now you have understood what are southwest monsoon winds, how we and with that trick even have explained you that trick, how to understand that this is these winds are called as southwest, these winds are called as northeast. See the tail where they are coming from, that tail wherever they are forming a triangle, that will be called as the name of that tail will be called as the same monsoon, northeast monsoon or a southwest monsoon. So even here by knowing this, we can know that even yes, precipitation plays a very important role in affecting the climate. So with this we have covered the temperature and the precipitation. I think you people are very clear that how the precipitation is also, there is a variation. Right now we are just saying that yes, the temperature is also having a variation. Now even precipitation is having a variation. Even day nights are having the variation, isn't it? That there is a change in the weather, there is a change in the climate, there is a difference between the weather and the climate. We have seen. First we are seeing just the headings of this chapter. Okay, temperature we are talking about, there are the variation. Now why these variations are going to be there, what is the reason behind this variation, we'll discuss in detail in the coming chapter. So first you have understood that there's a variation in the temperature, there is variation in the rainfall. So now let's come to the, slowly and steadily we'll come to the main chapter now. So now let's see what are the things, why there is a variation in the temperature, why there is a variation in the precipitation, why there is a change in the weather during the day and the night, why the weather and the climate is changing every now and then, why we are having the rainy season, why we are having the summer season, why we are having the winter season. All these things we are going to clear now. Now who all are responsible in order to have these changes? So we are having the 6 factors of climate which are responsible for the change in the climate. So let's see what are these. Latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from the sea, ocean currents and relief features. These are the 6 factors of the climate, and we are going to study each one of them in detail in order to understand that how these factors are responsible in order to change the complete weather of the world. So let's see one by one. So now let's see the first one, latitude. Now how latitude is going to control the climate? Let's see. Before that, we should know that what is latitude. Latitudes are nothing but the horizontal lines on the globe. So on 0 degree latitude, we have a equator, isn't it? So wherever the equator is there, that area receives the direct sun rays, because of which the region which are near the equator has a very hot weathers, because they are receiving the direct sun rays over there. Whereas if we go to the pole side, that is north pole and the south pole, they are very cold because the rays of the sun are not that direct to that region. That is the reason why the north pole and the south pole, that is Antarctica side and the polar side, we are having a very cold weathers. So that is the reason why the regions which are following that falls above the equator, the latitudes which are falling above the equator and the below the equator, that is south pole on the north pole, are having a very cold weathers. For example, Russia is falling on the higher latitude of above the equator. That is the reason why Russia is having very cold weathers. So here why these regions are having the cold weather, because the solar insolation, that is nothing but the sun's ray, the solar insolations are not direct to them because of the curvature of our earth, because the earth is a slightly curved, they are not straight, they are slightly curved, and because of this the poles does not receive the rays properly, they receive the rays which are very light. So that is the reason why the temperature on the equatorial region are very hot, whereas the temperature at the poles are temperate and frigid. So yes, even the latitude plays a very important role in changing the climate, isn't it? Now the next is altitude. Now what is altitude? The vertical height of anything. Suppose, for example, Himalaya, vertical height is Himalayans is called as an altitude. It is a distance measurement towards the up direction. So, how can we say that the altitude controls the climate? As we go up from the surface of the earth to the altitude, that is if we are climbing this mountain, and if we are moving upwards direction, if we are going towards the direction and measuring the distance toward the upward, the more we are going up, we can see there is a change in the atmosphere. The atmosphere becomes very dense. The atmosphere is less dense. Why? It is very clear if you just go and climb the mountain, and if you see that, even you can see the cloud very clear. Each and everything, the nature, you can see it beautifully. Everything is less dense, very clearly you can see, and even you have a less oxygen over there. So that is the reason why the people carry the oxygen cylinders, those who are uh, climbing the mountains. So even the temperature decreases, as you have seen that the more we are going towards the upper side, the temperature decreases because it is a freezing one. So why? What is? Observe the climate of the hill stations now. Now let's see why we can see such kind of a change when we are moving upward, why there is a change in the temperature. Now you observe and see the difference. Climatic condition of the places at the same latitude of Himalaya. You see the same latitude I have drawn with the black line. It is 30 degree of latitude, we have Himalayas. On the 30 degree of the latitudes, we are having Himalayas. On the other hand, the same 30 degree, we are having Iran. But sun rays are quite equal in both the places, isn't it? But the Himalayas all are covered with the snow, and the Iran is hot and humid, though they are falling in the same latitude, that is 30 degree, but still there is a variation. Why there is a variation now? Why the Himalayas being at the 30 degree of same latitude is having a very frigid temperature, and the same 30 degree, if Iran is there on the map, if you see that Iran is there, but the Iran is facing the very hot climate. So why there is a variation? Because the Himalayan altitude is more, height of the altitude, the Himalayan heights are more. That is the reason why we have the frigid climate in the Himalayan regions, whereas the Iran is a low one, it's a plain area. But here the mountains are having a altitude, that is the reason why highest altitude, around 600 meters of the altitude the Himalayans are having than compared to the Iran. Iran is just a low one. So that is the reason why, because of the height of these mountains, they are very frigid, they are having a very cold climate, whereas Iran, though being on the same latitude, they faces the hot temperature because they are not having that height altitude. That is the reason why the climatic conditions are higher altitude varies from the lower altitude. So the place which is on the lower altitude is having a hot weather, whereas the place or a region which is having on a height of the altitude, higher altitude, is having a cold weather. So there is a variation, though being in the same degrees of the latitude, receiving the same rays of the sun, but still there is a variation just because of an altitude. Now the pressure wind. The pressure and the wind system of any area depends on the latitude and altitude of that place. So as you all know that the equator falls to the middle of the globe, that is middle of the earth, and it receives the direct sun rays. So on 0 degree the sun rays are stronger and more hot, because of which all the air gets hot and they starts moving upward. They start coming out of that equator 0 degree and they diverge towards the north and south. Wherever they find the very less hotness, or wherever they find the vacuum, they enter that latitude and settles down. So they diverge and sits wherever they gets vacuum. So the winds that are coming out of the equator are called as low pressure winds, and after getting the vacuum when they are entering to the new latitude are called as high pressure winds. Now this low pressure and the high pressure depends on the latitude and sun rays. Now they diverge, now they move to the distance how much it can go. They just move on, they keeps on moving from the equator and they just settle on wherever they get the vacuum. They keeps on moving it. So the low pressure winds are very they have a very high air masses and they rises up, and high pressure winds they decrease, they are low one, they have less air masses and they settles down. Low pressure is having high air masses and the high pressures are having low air masses. That is the reason why they settles down and they rises up. So the low pressure and the high pressure defines the direction of the wind too. Like as we are saying that the equator, the low pressure winds that are coming out are having a very high air masses. That is the reason why they are coming out with a high speed, and the high pressure wind, they are having less air masses in them. That is the reason why they are settling down wherever they are getting the vacuum. So even the high pressure winds are defined by the direction, the low pressure and high pressure. This both they define the direction of the wind. So now you see the high pressure winds and the low pressure winds, and the winds that are inside the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere are slightly tilt. They are not directly falling, they are slightly tilt. They are called as easterly wind. Easterly wind, in the sense, as I said you, that you have to see the tail of that winds, and you should know the direction of the wind. So this tilt is called as easterly winds. Now during summer, the winds blows from southwest to northeast. So southwest to northeast, the winds are blowing, the summer winds are blowing. So as it goes from the oceans, it takes moisture with this, and moisture brings rainfall, and this influences the climate. Thus the pressure and the wind influence the temperature and also the rainfall pattern. So yes, we can say that the pressure and the wind also affects the climate. This, if you are not able to understand what I have spoken, then you can just go through the next slide video. You will understand how these winds are coming out of the high pressure masses and the low pressure masses, how they are settling down and how they affect the climate. You will understand this by looking at the video.
In this video, we shall learn about the various pressure belts and wind patterns that have developed on planet Earth. While understanding the basic concepts behind the development of pressure belts, we will not take into consideration the tilt of the axis and the influence of land-water distribution. Equator divides the globe into southern hemisphere and northern hemisphere, and equatorial belt extend up to 5 degree north and 5 degree south. Equatorial region receives nearly vertical rays of the sun, and this heats up the air near the equator. When temperature increases, pressure decreases. So along the equator we have low pressure, and we call this region as equatorial low pressure belt. The warm air starts rising up in the troposphere, and as the warm air is rising, the temperature drops. After rising up to a certain point, it stops rising upwards because it becomes cooler and it is obstructed by tropopause. So the air spreads out. The air starts moving in the southern and northern direction. As the air is moving, it becomes denser, and after a certain point, it sinks down to the surface. So at around 30 degree north and south, we have sinking air. This sinking air is cool air, so it forms high pressure systems. These regions are called as subtropical high pressure belts because these regions lie outside the tropical region and at the same time adjoining the tropical region. The sinking air now moves towards north and south. So along the equator, the warm air rises, spreads out and cools and sinks down. In this way, it develops convectional currents. At the poles, the sun rays are very much inclined. So we have cold air that sinks. These regions are known as polar highs. In the northern hemisphere, the air moves towards the south, and in the southern hemisphere, the air moves towards north. At this point, we have air coming from north and south. So, at this point, the air converges and rises up. These regions are known as subpolar lows. So, at 60 degree latitudes, we have low pressure system because we have rising air. Along the equator, the air is rising because of convection, and at subpolar lows, we have rising air because of convergence. This rising air also spreads out, cools and sinks. Same things happen in the southern hemisphere. On the surface of the earth, along the equator, the winds move from high pressure regions to low pressure regions. That is from subtropical highs to the equatorial low in the northern and southern hemisphere. These winds bend to the right in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere, the winds bend to the left. And this is described as Coriolis Effect. The winds bend to the right and left in the northern and southern hemisphere respectively, because the earth is spherical in shape and the earth rotates from west to east. In the same way, in between 30 and 60 degree north and south, the wind bends towards right and left in the northern and southern hemispheres respectively. Even at the polar region, the same phenomena can be seen.
Now the next is distance from the sea. So now if we move towards the coastal areas, we have a moderate climate as compared to the interior land. For example, if we'll take a Mumbai experienced the moderate climate, whereas Delhi experienced the extreme climate. They have extreme hotness, they have extreme coldness. Even the winter they are very extreme. Whereas if we go to the Mumbai, we'll have a moderate one. They don't have much hotter weather, not much colder weather. They have a moderate weather. So why this happens? As the distance from the sea increases, its moderating influence decreases, and the people experience extreme weather condition. So winter in Delhi and summer in Delhi are very extreme. So this condition, having an extreme winter and extreme summer, is called as continentality. And the next is ocean current. Ocean current is a continuous movement of ocean water in a pattern. Now if you see the diagram, you will see the pattern of the ocean movement. So this pattern may change. This massive movement of water is influenced by the variety of different forces such as wind, wave, rotation of earth and so on. So movement of the ocean current is of two types. They are hot ocean current and cold ocean current. So here in this diagram you can see that red is resembling the hot ocean current and the blue is the cold ocean current. So the earth movement and the wind movement. These two movements even specify the movement of the wind, because the earth movement is very high when compared to the wind movement, because of which the ocean currents have a different pattern of the movement. So because now why these winds are moving in a different direction, this earth movement and the wind movement of a different motion, this is called as Coriolis force. Coriolis force I'll explain you in detail in the topic. You just understand this just happened because of the Coriolis force. Now the wind moves on the top layer of the water. When the wind is moving, it just moves the top layer of the water. It is not moving the complete ocean, only the top layer of the water, and suddenly the water takes the U-turn. Now why the water is taking the U-turn? See, if you see the diagram, if the water is coming, see if the diagram over here, see the water is coming from the South America. Suppose here if you are seeing that circle in the center, if you see the map, the water through the wind movement, the water is moving from the South America and it is moving towards Australia. Now this red part is the hot winds. So this hot current is moving towards the Australia, and when it touches the Australia, suddenly it moves the direction, and after it changes the direction, it's when it is coming down, it becomes cold. Why it is becoming cold? Because of the Antarctica. From there the Antarctica winds are very cold. So because of which these winds, the hot wind which are blowing from the South America, now they becomes cold. And when they are moving again towards the Antarctica, crossing the Antarctica and again moving towards the South America, so this is the movement of the ocean current. They are moving in a circular form, hot cold, hot cold. So this is the movement of the ocean current, and these ocean current are the main cause for forming even the deserts. They are also the reason in order to form the deserts in some areas. We do find the deserts in Australia, we do find the deserts in the South America, we do find the deserts in India. So this is all just because of this cycle, this ocean current cycle, which is following over here because of the wind movement. So this in short, I will explain the Coriolis force, what exactly the Coriolis force is because of this wind movement is. Coriolis force is nothing but, I'll give you an example, with that you will understand. Suppose you people are on a high speed of a scooty, and you are having certain luggage in your scooty, and if it falls, does it going to fall, though you are on the high speed, does it going to fall straight on the road? No, it falls slightly tilt, then it goes on the road. It never falls directly straight 90-degree, it never falls. It falls slightly to the 60 degrees because of the force you are having. With the pressure, you are moving forward with the scooty, but the luggage which has to be fallen down from the scooty is slightly tilting and falling backward towards the 60 degree, not directly to the 90-degree on the road. So that is nothing but the Coriolis force. The force, the movement of yours is Coriolis force. So with this example you will understand what is Coriolis force. After that I will definitely explain you in detail what is Coriolis force. So here what exactly has happened over here is the ocean current, the cycle of this ocean current are the main causes in order to even create these deserts. And how the deserts have been created, this is one of the hot question. Even in your box it has been asked that how the hot deserts are being formed in the western continental area. So we'll discuss about the deserts, how the deserts have been formed in the western continental area. So let's see how the deserts are formed. Now, as I said that the ocean currents move in a pattern. If you see the pattern in your next diagram, apart from that map, you will see the pattern. This is what the pattern which has been followed by the ocean currents. So, when the take the cold water and the hot water, it is moving up. So now, if you see again, I'll go towards the western side, the Australia. This side you do find the deserts in the Australia. If you see the map. Now again you come to the same circle, if which I was explaining in the middle, it is the South America and the Australia in the middle. See, if the hot wind is blowing from the South America and coming towards the Australia, and again after hitting Australia, again it is getting cooler. Okay, it gets cool, move from towards the Antarctica and moving with the cold, same cold wind. If it is moving again upward in this South America side where the cold winds are moving, we do find the deserts over here. Why do have this desert? Because of these ocean currents. Now how these ocean currents are responsible in order to have a deserts in that corner of that South America is nothing but, so in South America, we are having that desert like Atlamas deserts, I think, in South America. So, why those deserts have been formed? It is just because of this ocean current. Now, how it is? See, when all the west boundaries are having the cold currents are moving to the west side. When all these cold currents are having moving towards the west side, because of which now there is no evaporation, because now they are completely cold winds. They don't have any evaporation. Now without any evaporation, no clouds will be formed. If no clouds will be formed, no rain will be there. If no rain, then we'll get the deserts over there. So that is the reason why when the cold winds are moving upward, wherever the western side the cold winds are moving upward, will definitely have the deserts in that area. So wherever if you see the blue lines which are coming from the red line, they are forming to the blue line, again the blue line is moving upward. So whichever the blue line moving again upward, there that area will definitely find the deserts. If you see the map, you will surely know how the deserts have been formed. In the next image, I'll show you the deserts which have been formed due to this ocean currents. So you will be very clear with the topic that why. It is just because these cold currents will not have the evaporation in that. Without the evaporation, there will be no clouds. because the hotness is not there. With the hotness, the evaporation forms. With the evaporation, we'll get the clouds. With the clouds, the rain will be there. When no evaporation, no clouds, no rain, then the deserts have been formed. So that is the reason why in the western continental areas we are usually have deserts. Now here with this image you will be clear that why we have the deserts in the western margin of the continent. As I've explained you that all the winds which are of blue color, which are forming the cold winds that are moving upward, they will not have any evaporation with them. Without evaporation, no clouds will be formed. Without clouds, no rain. So because of with this area we have deserts. So the next map, the ocean current, apart from that, the left hand side map is showing you the places which are having deserts. So now you can see wherever the blue line is moving upward, that area you are having deserts, because no evaporation. These lines are having no evaporation with them. These are the cold winds that are forming one pattern. They are moving with the same pattern. So we find this kind of a pattern in the complete world map. Wherever the ocean is there, you will definitely find this kind of a movement of the pattern of ocean current everywhere, and the same thing will be there. The western continental area will definitely have the deserts. So this is the main reason why we have the deserts in the western continental areas.
We hear about strange things from distant places being washed up on our shores all the time, but how do they get there? Ocean currents are the movements of surface water in the oceans. Their direction is influenced by many factors, including the rotation of the Earth, the size and shapes of the continents, the prevailing winds, and even water density. Ocean currents caused by prevailing winds are called drift currents. In the northern hemisphere, the circulation of the oceans is clockwise, and in the southern hemisphere, the currents are anti-clockwise. Currents originating from the polar regions carry cold water. There's the California current, the Peru or Humboldt current, the Labrador, Canaries, Benguela, the Antarctic circumpolar currents, and the Oyashio. Currents originating from the equatorial regions carry warm water. There's the Gulf Stream and North Atlantic Drift, the Brazil current, the North and South equatorial currents, and the Kuroshio. So perhaps it's not so surprising that many of the items that are washed ashore originate from far-off places, thousands of miles away.
Now the last is, which controls the climate, is relief feature. Now like how we have seen how latitude, altitude, precipitation, temperature, ocean current, all these features have affected the climatic condition. Now let us see that how the relief also affects the climatic condition. So on the earth's surface we have plains, plateaus, mountains. All these are nothing but the relief features. Now how this is going to help or plays the role in influencing the climate? Now let's see. High mountains that we are having act as a barrier of cold or hot winds. They are the high altitudinal relief feature. As I said that the mountains are the high altitudinal. Now why we enjoy the monsoon weather? Because of these Himalayas. The southeast wind, which is bringing moisture, they stay in India because of the Himalayas, because these Himalayas they stop these winds, and that is the reason why we enjoy the monsoon type of climate. So in the same way, these Himalayas also stop the polar cold wind which are coming from the polar areas, because of which the Ladakh and the Tibet faces the extreme cold climate, because they are on the northern side of the Himalayas. That is the reason why these two places they face the extreme climate, extreme cold climate. So the Himalayas they protect India from becoming a cold region too, and even it also helps in giving a fertility to the soil. We are having a much of rainfall. That is the reason why India is a monsoon type of a climatic region. And now how the Western Ghats also plays a very important role, in the same way the Eastern Ghats also plays an important role. So the Western Ghats, if you see the eastern side, they are an arid region. They are not that moisture region. They are the arid one. Whereas western side, we have all rains. Now because these Ghats, they stop the moisture to enter the east of this region. So these Ghats, they stop the moisture to enter the eastern region. That is the reason why eastern side we are having the arid region, whereas in the western side we have the more and more of the rainfall. That is the reason why, if you have remember, we do find here the complete forest, evergreen forest in the western Ghats side. We are having the evergreen forest because of the rain. So even these Ghats plays a very important role in controlling the climate, because it is controlling the moisture which is coming towards the arid region. So here even the Ghats plays an important role. In this way, the certain relief features, whatever the plains, the plateaus, mountains, whatever the relief feature we are having, all plays a very important role in order to control the climate. So thus we have proved that all the climatic features what we have seen till now, that the temperature, precipitation, latitude, altitude, they do play a very important role in order to control the climate. Now we have seen till now the factors that are affecting the climate in general in the whole world. Now we'll see the factors that are affecting India's climate. So now let's see only this same side headings. We'll see irrespective of only India, how this is helping India to change the climate and how it is so helpful in changing the climate in India. So the first one is latitude. So on the latitude, see, India is having two perspective latitude which completely separates India from the complete world. That is 37 degree point 6 degree. We are having on the northern side, that is near the Jammu and Kashmir, we are having one latitude, and the down, if you see the Kanyakumari side, we are having 8.4 degree latitude. So 8 degree point 4 minutes and 37 degree point 6 minutes divides the India from the complete world. So we are only looking at the irrespective of only this latitude, what are the changes that happens within this latitudes. So within this latitude we are having one of the important latitude which divides the India into two equal parts, that is Tropic of Cancer, and these two equal parts divide the Tropic of Cancer. The upper part is called as the north subtropical climate. Why it is called as subtropical climate? Because we have snowfall over there, and the sun rays which are falling over there are not direct. So that is the reason why we even have a snow on the northern side. And the Tropic of Cancer, which is which divides the next part that is towards the south, has a very tropical climate because they receive the strong sun rays. So that is the reason why they are having a tropical climate, whereas on the northern side we are having a subtropical climate because the sun rays are not directly receiving there, and that is the reason why we are having the snowfalls even there. So because of which we even have the snowfalls in many places. So now when you may get a doubt that we only talks about the latitudes which plays a very important role, why not the longitudes? So here the latitude, yes, the latitude plays a very important role, whereas the longitude plays a very important role only in changing the time in the day and night. Whereas here latitude plays a very important role because they completely change the climate of the complete world, whereas longitude only change the timing. So that is the reason why we say that the latitude plays a very important role. Then comes your altitude. Altitude, as I said earlier, we have discussed when were talking about in general, it is the surface height above the earth, and it is the something which is measured in the height. So we are having the altitude, we have beautiful altitudes in the name of Himalayas. So we are having the Himalayas in the north which have the height of around 6,000 meters, and they prevent the cold winds to enter in India, whichever is coming from the polar region. They prevent those winds coming into the India. If we don't have the Himalayas and these polar winds they have entered the India, we must have got the complete cold regions, and every time we would have had these only snowfall, no other separate climate. So that is the reason why Himalayas plays a very important role in order to protect us from those polar winds, the cold winds which are coming from the polar region. In the same manner, because of the mountain, the subcontinents are experiencing the milder. That is the reason why in Ladakh and Tibet we have an extreme climate. We have even the snowfalls over there, very extreme climate in the Tibet and Ladakh side, because that is a place where there's winds which are coming from the polar region are being stopped by the Himalayas. In the same way, the altitude also affect the climates of India. So in the same way, if the winds which are coming from the southeast, which are bringing the moisture. They are being stopped by the Himalayas from the southern side, and they prevent us that those moisture is being taken away to the other countries. This Himalaya, they helps in stopping those clouds over there. That is the reason why we are having a monsoon type of climate. So these Himalayas plays a very important role in changing the climate, as it is stopping the polar winds, that is the cold waves, to come into the India, and even they are stopping the moisture winds which have been carried with the moisture in order to bring the rains, have been stopped by the Himalayas in order to have a monsoon rains over here on a proper time, so that we are having a very monsoon climatic you can say the climate, monsoon climate we are having. That is the reason why we are having a very fertile land, because of which we are able to produce many of the fertile products over here which have been demanded by the other people. So these Himalayans plays a very important role for India in order to have such a fertility. So these are some of the important points that a factor that are affecting India's climate is latitude and altitude. So now we have seen the latitude and the altitude, how they affect the climatic condition of India. Now we'll see how pressure and the wind also affect the climatic condition of India. So India climate are associated with the weather condition in India are governed by the following atmospheric conditions. The three conditions have been given, and we'll discuss this in a separate side heading each. So the conditions are pressure and the surface wind, upper air circulation, and western cyclonic disturbances, and tropical cyclone. How these all three affects the climate of India? Let's see one by one. The first is pressure and surface wind. The winds are blowing out from the equator. As you see the first figure, you will see that the low pressure winds are coming out of the equator, and then they diverge towards the north and south, where they are wherever they find the vacuum, they are called as the high pressure wind, which enters into the another latitude wherever they find it, the vacuum. As you have seen even the video, that how the high pressure and the low pressure winds are blowing. So when they move in India with the high pressure, they slightly tilt. If you see, they are slightly tilt, they are not direct. So this is due to the Coriolis force. Now what is Coriolis force? I have given you an example of a scooty. If anything falls down, if you are in the high speed of the scooty, it will fall slightly tilt. So why this Coriolis force is here? These words are also called as the northeasterly wind. As I have said you this in the previous slide even, that the slightly tilt winds are called as easterly winds, because they are coming from the northeast. As India lies in the northeastern region of the globe. So in the same way, when the wind blows from the south, it slightly tilts towards the west, called as southeast winds. So now what is Coriolis force? As I have given you only the example of the scooty, now I will explain you in a proper way. The Coriolis force, it is a force which is responsible for the deflection of wind towards the right in the northern hemisphere and towards the left of the southern hemisphere. Now if you see that how they are tilt between both the hemispheres, the southern and the northern hemispheres, due to the difference in the linear velocity of the earth rotation and its atmospheric. Now why there is a difference between these rays and why they are tilting? As I have given you the example of the scooty, now I will explain you what exactly the speed of the scooty is over here. See, this means that the velocity of the earth movement and the high pressure wind movement have a variation. Now earth is moving from the east to west in a high variation than compared to the high pressure winds. So here the earth is a scooty and your luggage is a high pressure wind. So because the earth is moving with a high pressure, high velocity, that is the reason why the winds which are moving inside the earth, that the high pressure wind, is slightly tilt because of the variation in the velocity of both the movements. The wind movement, they are coming from the northeast, and this earth is moving from east to west. So there is quite variation in their direction too. That is the reason why the winds are slightly tilt. From, if you see both the hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, they are slightly tilt, even in the southern hemisphere they are slightly tilt. Those are the easterly winds. Now if you see how winds are blowing in India towards the northeast, and again they are going towards the equatorial low pressure. Now again you see the globe that how the winds are moving. They are moving to the high pressure, then again they are moving towards the low pressure, again they are coming out of that equatorial low pressure, again they are moving towards the high pressure in the circular form. So the equatorial low pressure, again they will move from the equatorial, again diverge it in the circular form. So now the winds are moving in this form, the circular one. So the high pressure and the low pressure, they carries less moisture. Then according to this, if we say that this wind is moving in a circular form, they are moving from the low pressure, that is the warm area, moving towards the high pressure area wherever they find the vacuum, again they are coming towards the low pressure area. That means that they should have they should carry less moisture. So in that case, India should have all arid region, but we are called as the monsoon climatic condition we are having. So why we are not having a dry regions here? Why there is a, because if the dry regions are there, why we are having the rainfall? Why we are called as a monsoon type of a climate? So here the climatic condition in India is unique due to the difference during the winter and summer. Now, how this difference between the winter and the summer occurs? Because during summer, India changes its wind's direction, and the winds which are coming from the southwest winds, which is called as the seasonal variation of the wind. Then from the southwest, they take the moisture and bring the rain. See, if you see the direction of the winds in India, first map you see the direction of the wind, they are coming from the north east, and the second they are coming from the southwest. So the winds which are coming from the northeast, they don't have moisture, but the winds which are coming from the southwest, they have a moisture and they bring rainfall, and it is being stopped by the altitude, that is nothing but the Himalayas. So we are having the variation even in the climate. So we are having both the winters and the summers. That is the reason why the winds changes the direction. Now how the wind changes the direction, you have seen that it's called the seasonal variation of the wind. This is called as the seasonal variation of the wind. From southwest, they take moisture and bring rain to our country. So now I think the pressure and the wind surface is very clear to you all people. Now why we will discuss this about the monsoon, I'll tell you about that how this wind changes the direction. Now for this you are having a separate topic, how the wind changes the direction. What is this seasonal variation? You just keep it in a mind, we'll discuss this. Why there is a change in the variation of the wind in India, why they are coming from the northeast and again why they are coming from here to the southwest. So there is one reason for that, and we'll discuss this reason when the chance comes. So topic by topic we'll be discussing it. Now what is upper air circulation? Now if you see the first figure, you will see that when the air circulation is there, the wind which is moving from the low pressure to high pressure wind, that is the upper portion of the wind which is going before entering to the high pressure area, finding out with the vacuum they are entering to the high pressure area. Before entering that, the wind which is upward is called as upper circulation wind. So this upper circulation wind also influence the climate of India through jet stream. Now what is this jet streams? Jet streams, you have different atmosphere. On that you have this stratosphere, troposphere, all this. So here the troposphere air which is having on the top, the troposphere air which are flowing with a high velocity around 110 kilometer per hour, they flow in summer, and in winters they flow around 180 to 184 kilometer per hour. These tropospheric winds, they are flowing on the top. So now these jet streams, they plays a very important role in changing the climatic condition of the climate zone. Now we have two jet streams. If you see the second figure, you will find the two jet streams, that is polar jet stream and the subtropical jet streams. We are going to discuss over here only the subtropical jet stream, as it has a great impact on the Indian climate. The polar one we are no way concerned, because polar side the India is not falling towards the polar side. We are under the subtropical region, and it has a great impact because now we are studying only the factor that are influencing the Indian climate. So we'll discuss only the subtropical one. Now from where we get this subtropical jet stream? Now you see that how the subtropical jet streams are being formed. Now you see the upper layer, the upper circulation wind, they are having certain air masses in them, because the diverging these air masses, they are nothing but the jet stream. So these air which are consist of the air masses are called as jet streams. Now how these jet streams are going to affect, we'll see this. Why are the called as subtropical jet streams now? The first question, because I said that we are going to only discuss the subtropical jet stream. Now why the name of subtropical jet stream has been given to them? Because these jet streams are falling to the degrees of the latitude. Which are the degrees of the latitude in India? They are located over 27 degree to 30 degree in the Indian latitudes. So if we see the map, this 27 degree to 30 degree is falling near the Himalayas, because the end of our latitude on the upper part is 37 degree 8 minutes or 6 minutes. So the end of the latitude on the upper side, the Jammu and Kashmir side. So this latitude, these jet streams are falling on the latitudes of 27 degree to 30 degree. That is nothing but we are having the Himalayas on this latitudes. So let's see the position of the jet stream in how they are influencing the climate of India. Now see that during the summer, these jet streams, they are towards the north of the Himalayas. North of the Himalayas means on the backside of the Himalayas, which we cannot see on the backside of the Himalayas. And during winter, this south of they comes to the south of the Himalayas. That is, we can see the wind. They are inside the south of the Himalayas. Now, why they move from here to there? Because of ITCZ. Now, what is this ITCZ? I will explain you this when we are discussing the Indian monsoon, because topic by topic we are going. So now, how they influence the climate of India? These jet streams, subtropical jet streams. In summer, these jet streams are on the northern side, because of which whatever the air is coming, the wind which is coming with the moisture from the southwest, they are coming towards the India, and they are finding a vacuum over there in the middle of India, that is on the Delhi side and the Punjab side, near the Madhya Pradesh side. All these sides, they find the vacuum because the jet streams are not present over there, and because of the jet streams are not present there, they are having a vacuum over there, and these vacuums invite these clouds which are having a moisture with them. And when these clouds they enter on that vacuum area, they give the rainfall. That is the reason why we have the rains in India during that period. That is because of the absence of the jet stream. So this vacuum invites these jet streams. Now what happened in winter? Why we don't have rain in winters? Usually we don't have rains in winter. We have only cold weathers. No rains in winter. For what reason we are not having rains in the winter? Usually sometimes we have. That is the exceptional case. But usually we don't have rains in winter. This is because in winter they are on the south. They are inside the India. That is on southwards. We can see this jet stream now. So they are flowing inside the India now, not the back of Himalayas. Now they are in front of the Himalayas. They are flowing. Which means the jet streams which are flowing with the speed of, I said in winter they are flowing around the speed of 184 to 180 kilometer per hour. So when these winds are flowing inside the Himalayas, the southwest winds which are coming up with the moisture in them, when they come towards these jet streams variation, the velocity of the jet streams is so high that they carry out these clouds which are having the moisture with them to the outside the oceans. So we don't have the rain during the winters, because the clouds which have been coming to India, they have been flown by these jet streams. So that is the reason why we don't have the rains in winters. Usually we don't have. So here we can say that yes, the jet streams affects the climate of India. So now you got that how these jet streams are going to affect the climate of India. Now let's see the last, western cyclonic disturbance and tropical cyclone. The first we'll discuss about the western cyclonic disturbance. Then we'll discuss about the tropical cyclone. So now what is western cyclonic disturbance? How it affects the Indian climate? The weather phenomenon of the winter months. During the winter months, This mostly occurs during the winter months in India. These jet streams are flowing. They bring certain moisture. They are the westerly flown from the Mediterranean region. Now if you see the map, you will see that how the winds are flowing. The jet streams are flowing from the Mediterranean Sea and they are coming towards the India. So now how this western cyclonic disturbance helps in the change in the Indian climatic condition, now we'll see with the help of these diagrams. So wherever you have a land water body, that is the land and the water body is very quite frequently very near to that. If you see that the land which gets hot by the sun, it cools down even very soon, whereas the water that gets hot because of the heat of the sun gets cool late. So as compared to the land, if you see that it gets hot earlier, the land gets hot earlier plus it cools down earlier, whereas the water, it takes time in order to get hot, even in order to get cool even. So these affects the cyclone. So now when we early the water takes time in order to cool down. So both, if there are cyclone in the Mediterranean Sea, suppose if there is a cyclone in the Mediterranean Sea, you will have a cyclonic rainfall over that area. Many areas are being coming in middle, that Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan. So many times you have a cyclonic rainfall, because of which you have a moisture there. So the jet stream which are flowing towards jet streams are not moving only in India. These jet streams are moving in all over the world. So while moving these jet streams, they carry certain moisture with them. And when these jet streams are moving towards the India, when they are moving towards the Himalayas, these moisture carried jet streams, they just cannot climb the mountains because of the height. Sometimes it happens that they cannot climb because of the height of the mountain and they stuck over there. Because of stucking over there, they start raining there only. That is the reason why during winter sometimes we usually have rains. So this is the main reason why we have rains during winter. Though it is this disturbance, western cyclonic disturbance for the other countries, but it is not a disturbance for an Indian country, because during the winters we sow certain crops, and this cyclonic rain which gets the rainfall during the winter, it is helpful in order to cultivate those crops. So it is not a disturbance for us. In this way, this cyclonic disturbance are helping India in changing the climate and having a rainfall during the winters, and it helps us in a cultivation. So yes, this western cyclonic disturbance is affecting the India's climate. Now let us see the tropical cyclone. Now what is tropical cyclone? The area which is between the tropical area, that is the tropical Cancer and the tropical Capricorn. The area middle of the area, whatever the area which is coming in both these latitudes, are called as tropical cyclone area. Now this tropical cyclone area is made in the tropical region or a tropical area. As I said that above the equator we are having the Tropic of Cancer, and below the equator we are having Tropic of Capricorn. So both this area is called as tropical area. So but how this affects the Indian climate? So now you know that the high pressure wind from the land, which is coming out from the land, again if you see the circular form, from the equator, because of the heat, the low pressure wind is coming, and again they are moving towards the land with the high pressure, again they are moving. So this circular form, the high pressure winds from the land and the low pressure wind from the oceans, mostly they attract each other. While moving, they attract with each other. During that period, the Coriolis force affect the winds and it turns into a cyclone. Now these are reacting to each other. The hot and the cold wind, they are reacting to each other. In the same way, there is Coriolis force. They come and they play a game over there, and they just turn this reaction, the attraction between the hot wind and the cold wind, into a cyclone. So mostly these oceanic oceans they occur during the monsoon, as in the October and November. This cyclonic pressure, it occurs mostly during the October and the November. So these affect the coastal region, usually near the Indian Ocean, or toward the south and toward the north of the Indian Ocean, towards the Bay of Bengal. Mostly these areas are mostly affected. The coastal areas are affected with more, they bring rainfall, they bring floods, they even bring the destruction to the coastal areas of the India. So in this way, the tropical cyclone even change the climatic condition of the country. So yes, both the western cyclonic disturbance and the tropical cyclone do change the Indian climatic condition. So here we are very clear with all the factors which affects the Indian climate. Okay, now let's start with the Indian monsoon. Under this topic we are having a very interesting topic. You all will understand the phenomenon of why we get rains. Apart from this, you will also see that how we get the changes with the day and night too. So when we started this chapter, we started with the word monsoon and got to know that it is a seasonal reversible wind. Now easterly winds converts it into southwest winds and bring rainfall. But how do this easterly wind they convert it into southwest wind and brings rainfall? So in summer we have southwest winds and in winter we have northeast winds. How? Who noticed this first? This was first noticed by the sailors during the period of trade, the Britishers. This was noticed by those sailors. During the trade in India, they used to load their ships with the luggage and leave it on the oceans in summer. So with the help of the wind, this ship they used to move towards India with the movement of the wind. And during winter again the same thing they used to do, because now in winter they used to load the ships with the luggage from India and they used to leave it on the sea. Now again the reversible wind they used to take these ships towards their country. So this was first noticed by the sailor that these winds they are blowing in summer towards India and in winter they are blowing from India towards different countries. So this was first noticed by the sailors. So due to change in the wind, the climate changes. Because of which this was termed as Mosim in Arabic word, which means season. Because it changes the climate, that is the reason why it was called as Mosim. So now how they get reverse. First we'll see that how they get reverse from southwest to northeast. The monsoon are experienced in the tropical area. Now what is the tropical area? Tropical area is nothing but between the 20-degree north and 20-degree south. The mechanism of complete monsoon only take place between these area. Now which is that area? If you see this map, you will get to know the peach color in the middle is nothing but the tropical area. Only these area experience rainfall. The other is a polar one. They have snow or ice over there, glaciers. So only that middle part we have monsoon. So that area is called as tropical area, which is in between the 20-degree south and 20-degree north. So let's see now how this affects the tropical area in order to get the rain. So we'll discuss this under different factors. So the first factor is the differential heating and cooling of land and water. Now as I said that the land and water, there is a lot of variation and cooling down and heating them. Land gets cooled very fast and heated up very fast, whereas the water it gets cool, it takes time. In order to get hot also it takes time. So that is the reason why on the land because of the variation that it cools down very fast and get hot very fast, in land we have a low pressure, whereas on the oceanic side we have a high pressure. So the low pressure on the land mass, it gets hot and cool fast. Because of that, we are having the low pressure on the land mass, and the high pressure around the sea, because it takes time to heat and cool. That is the reason why we are having the high pressure of the air masses over there on the oceans. So what result we get out of this? We get that the movement of the wind from the high pressure to low pressure, because I said that when there is a low pressure, the air masses comes out from the low pressure and it attracts the high pressure. So when the wind moves from high pressure, they takes moisture along with them, And when these high pressure winds, they are coming up with the moisture towards the low pressure, they are attracting towards the low pressure, so they get the southeast winds and bring rainfall over there. So we have discussed this when we were discussing about the latitudes, altitudes. So we have discussed the concept in the first slides only. Now we are only discussing this because we have understood this. So now you know that how this low pressure, they attract the high pressure towards them, so that the high pressure winds, they come up with the moisture towards them and brings rainfall. So the same thing happens, the landmass of the earth gets heated up and they attract the high pressure wind from the oceans to come towards them. When these high pressure winds, they attracted towards this low pressure, they bring some moisture along with them, because the winds, they never go alone, they always carry the moistures along with them. So when this wind is coming up with the moisture, they bring the southeast monsoon towards India. So this is the differential heating pattern also brings a monsoon in India. Now the next factor which brings Indian monsoon is the shift of the position of ITCZ. It is nothing but Intertropical Convergence Zone. In short, we call it as ITCZ. And I have said that when I'll discuss about the Indian monsoon, I will tell you about the ITCZ. Now it is the time to explain you what is ITCZ, because now the topic has come, and as I said that I'll explain you as per the topic by topic. So now the first is, what is ITCZ? How it influences Indian monsoon. Now if you see the globe, the first image and the broad yellow line, that is ITCZ. We usually find, ITCZ near the equator. Why? Because it has the low pressure over there because of the direct sun rays. So ITCZ is a broad trough of low pressure. Usually it is located in the equator. I'm saying it again, usually, because it changes its position due to certain reason that even that will explain. So ITCZ is a broad trough of low pressure. Usually it is located in the equator. Now why it has a low pressure? Because equator has a direct sun rays. So this trough is formed due to the convergence of northeast and southeast trade winds, which are called as easterly winds. Easterly winds are nothing but the tilt winds. I said that slightly tilt wind that are flowing towards the northeast and the northwest and southeast and the northeast, the winds that have been tilting on the globe, those winds are called as easterly winds. Because of those winds, this ITCZ is formed. Now ITCZ is normally on the equatorial latitude, but it moves from north and south with the apparent movement of the sun. Now how the apparent movement of the sun? Now you see the next image. As we know that the earth revolves around the sun. Sun never moves. Earth revolves around the sun. So when the earth is revolving around the sun, the solar insulation changes as per the movement of the earth. So here see, if you see the image, you will see that when the earth was in the curvature form, the sun rays were directly on the equator. But when it started revolving, it has been changed from the Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. Wherever you get the direct sun rays, there you will find the low pressure area. And wherever you find the low pressure area, the ITCZ also get attracted toward that place. So that is the reason why the ITCZ shifts towards the north and the south, because of the movement of the earth and the rays of the sun. Sometimes it falls when it is directly to the equator, the low pressure belts are formed there. When it started moving, the same rays of the sun, now it started putting it, all the rays are on the Tropic of Cancer. Then then the next movement was, it was on the Tropic of Capricorn. So even this movement influenced the movement of ITCZ. So what are the factors that get influenced due to ITCZ? Now we'll see that because of that movement. Now the ITCZ movement, you understood that revolving the earth around the sun, the ITCZ movement gets changed. So during summer, due to the movement of the earth, ITCZ is over the Ganga plain. That is around the 23 degree of India. So ITCZ always carries all the winds along with them, that is easterly winds. Now whenever this ITCZ moves wherever it wants due to the revolving of the earth, whenever it moves from the north to south, it also carries all the easterly winds along with them. The northeast and the southwest, no, southeast to easterly winds, all the winds which have been there, it carries all the winds along with them. So due to the low pressure on the Ganga plain, it creates a monsoon trough there, because now the low pressure is there. So all the oceanic high pressure winds get attracted towards there. And when all the high pressure winds are getting attracted towards that low pressure which has been created by the ITCZ on the Ganga plain, all the high pressure winds are moving towards that. And winds never goes alone, they always carries the moisture, and with that moisture it creates a monsoon trough. And with that high pressure which has been created over the seas, all those winds blowing towards this low pressure brings the monsoon on that area of India. So yes, we can say that the shift of the position of the internal tropical, that is ITCZ, the intertropical convergence zone, the shift position of this also influence the monsoon in India. Now the next factor that affects the Indian Ocean is the presence of high pressure area on the east of Madagascar. Now where is it Madagascar? Madagascar is near Africa. So the red circle you can see on the map is nothing but the Madagascar. Madagascar is having the high pressure. Now why Madagascar is having the high pressure? Because the land, see, whatever the air masses that are coming out of the Madagascar land is the low pressure air masses, but due to the Antarctica, it is very near to the Antarctica. Down we are having a polar region, that is the Antarctica. Because of the Antarctica, the cold climate, as it is not having any solar insulation there in the Antarctica, because of which more of the intense high pressure winds are formed there. So the Madagascar's low pressure winds and the Antarctica's high pressure winds, they when they get attracted, they forms the intensely high pressure winds. And when the high pressure winds in the Madagascar has been formed due to the Antarctica, now they get attracted towards India low pressure, which has been created by the ITCZ, which has been created by the shift of the position of the ITCZ and the shift. There are many other reasons now, like the differential heating and the cooling position of the land masses. So because of those many reasons, the low pressure, the double low pressure has been created in India. So because of which all the high pressure wind which has been formed in the Madagascar, they get attracted towards that low pressure air masses in India. So due to this, the ITCZ, due to the movement of the earth from the sun, is the Ganga plain, the high pressure winds, they move to the surface winds, from which now when the high pressure winds, these are moving towards India. As I said, that winds never move alone, they always carries the moisture. So when all the high pressure winds, now they are moving, if you can see in the map, you will see that all the high pressure winds are being attracted toward the low pressure area in India which has been created. So when these winds are blowing towards the low pressure, they carries the moisture, and with the help of that moisture, the low pressure and the high pressure, they are getting attracted there, and with that moisture which have been created, they brings the monsoon in India. So here we can say that yes, the high pressure over the east of Madagascar, which has been created near Africa, has affected the Indian monsoon. So here we get the proof, yes, even the Indian Madagascar, which is completely different in Africa, in the north of Africa we are having the Madagascar, how it is affecting the Indian monsoon. Now the next factor is the Tibetan Plateau get intensely heated during summer. Now how this Tibetan Plateau get intensely heated during summer and how it is influencing the monsoon in India? Let's see. See now, where is Tibetan Plateau? Just see the map. It is a plain plateau. See, if you are having a mount, if you know that the Himalayan mountains are on the top. So above the height of 9,000 meters of the mountains, we have one plateau, which is called as Tibetan Plateau. So it is an on the high altitude, I can say, on the high altitude one plateau, and this is the volcanic plateau. And because of that volcanic nature, it is having the air masses which are very hot. So again, with this hot air masses, that area has been created as a low pressure area because of that hot. So here this it is a volcanic plateau, and when the volcanic plateau absorbs more heat from the sun, as this plateau is on the higher height, because of it the low pressure area becomes more strong, and because of which the vertical air masses comes out of the plateau. Now if you see the next diagram after the plateau, you can see the these air masses, the hot air masses that are coming out of that plateau. These air masses, they are coming vertically, coming out, that is completely straight. They are coming vertically, comes out of the plateau. So the low pressure, they attracts the high pressure from the oceans, and wind flows from high pressure to low pressure. As a result, it creates a geographical phenomenon required for monsoon. So all the four factors of low pressure attracts the high pressure winds and brings rainfall in India. So with this we have seen that all the four factors, how it is attracting, how it has created a low pressure in India, because of which they have attracted all the high pressure winds towards them and brought the monsoon in India. Now, the presence of the tropical easterly jet streams over the Indian peninsula during the summer even influence the monsoon in India. Now, the question is, why is this jet stream is moving from south to north of the Himalayas? How it moves? So, as the jet stream is flowing on the upper surface of the earth, as I have already told you that what is this jet stream? That is the upper layer in the atmosphere. You having a stratosphere and the troposphere, and the wind that are blowing on the troposphere is called as a jet stream, which are flowing with the high speed of 110 to 180 to 184 kilometer per hour. See, these are the jet streams which are flowing on the upper surface of the earth. And as I said that, as the intense low pressure has been formed in India now, due to all the four factors, the intense low pressure has been formed in India due to all the above four factors. So the affecting monsoons, they create a strong air masses. Now the low pressure has been created. So now after creating a low pressure, it makes the air masses. Now the air masses, they comes up. So with these air masses, what they do is they push this jet stream, because of that intense low pressure which has been created on the Tibetan plateau and any other Ganga plain. Whatever the low pressure has been created, now it starts making the air masses. So after heating the, if any of the land which has been heated up, it starts moving out the low pressure air masses comes out of that area. So when this low pressure air masses, when it comes out of that area, it pushes the jet stream from there to the north. And again on the northern side, when the Tibetan plateau gets heated up, and due to the volcanic nature, even again the air masses, the vertical air masses that arises from the plateau, again that air masses throws the jet stream to the south side. So that is the reason why the jet stream is moving from the north to south. So thus it means that the movement towards the north of the Himalayas, in the same way in the Tibet the low pressure has been moved, in the same way the jet stream has been moved towards the south of the India. So this, even the low pressure which has been created on the different areas of the India, that is towards the Ganga plain, the jet stream is been thrown towards the north, and on the Tibet when low pressure has been created, and due to the vertical air masses that have been arising, throwing the jet stream towards the south of the India. So even this jet stream, why it is moving from the north to south has been clear to you all, that ITCZ, as I said, how ITCZ is moving and the how jet stream is moving from the north to south, now it is clear. ENSO or El Nino. So ENSO or El Nino is one and the same, and southern oscillation we are going to discuss over here. Now what is El Nino and what is southern oscillation? Now these are the questions which are arriving in your mind. What all these things are? Horrible names. So we'll discuss this. I'll explain you. You will get to know what exactly they are. Before that, let's go to the flashback. Now first recall ocean currents. Now they move in the pattern. I think we have discussed about this in the ocean currents, like they move in the pattern, but their pattern may change. Even I said this word, their pattern may change accordingly. Here, their pattern may change is the answer for El Nino. Now let's recall what exactly was happening in the ocean current. So when easterly winds along with them takes away the upper surface of the water, when the easterly winds were flowing, we have seen certain pattern that the low pressure winds are moving, again they are moving down, they are collecting certain hot high pressure winds from the Antarctic areas, and again they are moving up, and because of which we were having the western side, we are having the deserts. We have seen the pattern that in the ocean current. So when easterly winds along with them takes away the upper surface of the water from the Pacific Ocean, then moves towards the equator. Now all the cold water moving from the Pacific becomes warm, and now they diverge towards down and again collect cold water masses from Antarctica, again moves up. You have a Peru current. Peru is nothing but in the South America we are having a Peru, because of which that place named Peru, the current name has been given as a Peru current. So it was named due to the name of the country Peru in South America. So Peru, here we have a cold current, because of which in the Peru we are having a huge desert which is called as Atacama Desert. So because of this, so this was a pattern we were following in the ocean current, that how the low pressure air masses are going from the Pacific Ocean towards the Australia, and there certain warm water has been collected by the Peru, because these easterly winds, they are collecting the upper surface of the water through the low pressure, that is a warm water from the land area. They are moving from the low pressure with these easterly winds, they are carrying certain hot waters, and now the warm ocean currents that are formed in Peru. You have seen the second image where the complete warm ocean currents have been formed over there in the Peru, which is called as El Nino. Now they move towards the Antarctica. Now the reverse function is been going on. Now they move towards the Antarctica. This low pressure and high pressure, they attracts, and they move towards, they are being pushed towards the Africa side now. Now from this, the Antarctica, they are moving towards the Africa. Now when they move towards the Africa, when the high pressure and the low pressure, when they are attracted, they are being pushed out towards the African side. And when all the cycle changes, now even in the African side, when it is moving out, even there the complete cycle will change now. Now the reverse cycle will move out towards the complete world now. Earlier what cycle we have seen, the ocean current will now completely be reversed in the complete world. So now then these low pressure currents move towards the Madagascar island. Now if you can see the Madagascar, now what is this Madagascar? Madagascar was having a high pressure currents because of that cold currents he was having over there. So this Madagascar was helping the India in order to have a proper monsoon over there. When now this warm water, these warm currents are coming towards the Madagascar, that is the high pressure area. Now what will happen? Now the high pressure currents, the Madagascar was having the high pressure currents. Now when the low pressure currents, which is formed in the southern hemisphere, when reach to the Madagascar, they will take the high pressure currents of Madagascar, which was sending the high pressure to the south, which was bringing the monsoon towards the India. Earlier, this was Madagascar was helping in order to move the southeast, this southwest winds towards the India. The high pressure which was created in the Madagascar was helping the southwest monsoon wind to move towards India. But now, when this low pressure which has been created in the southern hemisphere, when it reaches to the Madagascar, they weaken this high pressure of Madagascar, because of which now the southwest monsoon winds which were moving towards the India will now be not thrown or washed out towards India by the Madagascar high pressure, because now they have become very weak. Now when they have become very weak, whatever the monsoon winds which are moving towards the India, even they become weak. When they become weak, they cannot carry out the moistures from the ocean. When they cannot take out the moisture, when they cannot take the moistures from the ocean, we will definitely the rainfall will be affected over there in our area, because we are the winds which have been moving towards the India are not having the moisture, because now they have become weak. Whatever the high pressure winds which were moving towards the India from the Madagascar has now become weak. Without any moisture, they are moving towards the India. India will not have the monsoon. So thus, yes, this El Nino do affect the India, not having a monsoon in India. So it is going to affect the Indian monsoon. Now the onset of the monsoon and the withdrawal. Now under this topic, you are going to study that from where this monsoon is coming, where does it goes, which months this monsoon is going to come to the India. Everything will be clear with this concept. Now first you have to understand what is trade wind, what is monsoon wind, and what is burst of monsoon. Trade winds. Trade winds are steady in nature. They are continuously moving. But it is not necessary that trade winds always carries a moisture and brings rainfall, because bringing the rainfall duty is only of the monsoon winds, not the trade winds. Trade winds are just the winds which move continuously in the complete world. But sometimes they do have a moisture, and they have frequently we have a bit of shower, not a huge rainfall, heavy rainfall, a bit of shower. That is due to the trade winds which are having a moisture. Without any season, sometimes it rains. This is because of the trade winds. Then comes your monsoon winds. Monsoon winds are pulsating in nature. Pulsating in the nature is nothing but they come and they go. They don't stay anywhere. So here they always carries the moisture. These monsoon wind, they stay in India for around 100 to 120 days in India, and that is around June to mid of September. They stay in India, this monsoon winds. Now what is burst of monsoon? Normal rain increases suddenly and continuously. We'll have a rainfall for 2 to 3 days, or sometimes it is for 6 to 7 hours in a day. So that rainfall, the huge rainfall, or which continues suddenly increases, and which is continuously raining for many hours or many days, is nothing but the burst of monsoon. And usually this happens when the monsoon enters in India. So that is called as the burst of monsoon. Now how monsoon arrives in India? By the first week of June, the monsoon arrives on the southern tip of Indian peninsular region. If you see the map, you will see it is entering from the tip of the India, that is down near the Kanyakumari side. If you see from the down, the monsoon is entering. So they enter from the tip of Indian peninsula. This monsoon is divided into two. Now see the division, the Arabian branch and the Bay of Bengal. This Arabian Sea branch, they reaches Mumbai by 10th of June. Now why this Arabian branch is moving towards the Mumbai? Because of the Western Ghats. These Western Ghats, they are giving the direction to these winds to move which way, because these Western Ghats are stopping. Though we have read this in the chapter that Western Ghats have a huge rainfall. We are having an evergreen forest in the Western Ghat side because we are having a huge rain, because this wind stops there in order to enter India, but they change the direction of these winds, and these winds are moving towards in Mumbai, and in Mumbai by 10th of June we have a rainfall. Then from there it moved to the Saurashtra, Kutch and the central part. Now from the Mumbai side we are seeing how it has been entered. Now let's see the Bay of Bengal branch. They arrives in Assam by the first week of June. Now why Assam they are arriving? Why they are not moving out? Why they are tilting and moving towards the Assam? Because of the Purvanchal mountain which are there in Arunachal Pradesh. So these mountains, these features, the physical features of India plays a very important role in changing the climatic condition of India. So these usually the winds which are the southwest winds which are moving towards the Assam, again they are having the moisture, they will carry more moisture again from the Bay of Bengal too. And from the Bay of Bengal also it takes moisture and it stays there because of the Purvanchal mountain, they are staying over there. Otherwise they must have moved towards the China. Then takes the turn towards west of the Ganga plains, then they merge towards the northern western part. The first week of July in Delhi and Punjab etc. will have the rainfall. By 15th of July they reaches to the Himachal and the upper part of the India, and within 1 month all the India is covered by these monsoon winds and we have the monsoon season. So now how the monsoon winds go from India, how they are being withdrawn from India, let's see. Now how these monsoon winds go from India, or you can say that withdraw from India, begin from the northwestern state of India, that is by 15th of September. Mostly these winds they move out from India, that is from Jammu and Kashmir and Rajasthan. That is the reason why on the northern part we don't have much of rainfall. So mostly they start moving out from the northern side. So by mid of October it completely withdraws from the north. So by the mid of the October all the winds which are moving in the northern side they comes down towards the south. So even the winters are coming over there because they have to move out. Even winters are coming. So these winters are, when winters come, as we have discussed it earlier, that the ITCZ, when the winters are coming it moves towards the southern side. So this ITCZ, when it is moving towards the southern side, even they put the pressure in order to wash out the complete monsoon winds from India. So even that ITCZ is also playing a very important role in order to move all the monsoon winds from the northern side of India. So all the cold winds now are coming up and they are putting a pressure to move out all the monsoon winds from the northern side. So which slowly moves this monsoon winds. So by the December the monsoon withdrawal from the whole country. So moving down and down, these winds are coming down, and by the December the complete monsoon winds are out from India. But while moving out, the winds will again take moisture from the Bay of Bengal. If you see the map, you can see that when winds are moving out, they are moving from the Bay of Bengal. The winds which are moving from the Bay of Bengal branch, they again take certain moisture from there. As we have said that the Tamil Nadu will not have, when the monsoon is coming towards the June, the Tamil Nadu doesn't have the rainfall. But during the period of December, this Tamil Nadu enjoys the monsoon. And because while moving out these winds they carry the moisture and they are moving towards the Tamil Nadu and the other states like Sri Lanka and the other these eastern Ghats. So they have the rainfall. So in December we have rainfalls in Tamil Nadu. So there are many regions in the southern side where they enjoy the rainfall during the December too. So now what about our islands? We do have our islands too. When monsoon comes, these are the islands which enjoy the monsoon first. And when monsoon goes, these are the islands when they enjoy the monsoon while going even in the December too. So that is the reason why we say that these islands, they are of a tropical nature, they have evergreen forest. And these islands we usually find the tribal people over there because of the greeneries. We have the huge, as we have studied this in the wildlife, the forest and the wildlife, natural vegetation and the wildlife, we have seen this, that these areas are having the huge wildlife quality, and plus the trees which have been grown over there are deep penetrating roots, just because they are having a huge rainfall over there. So as I said earlier, that this chapter is just a contribution of both the first two chapters. So you should be very clear in order to understand the first two chapters. In order to understand this chapter, you should be very clear with the first two chapters of the geography too. So with this, we have got to know that how the withdrawal of the monsoon take place. So I just follow the arrows and the maps which have been given to you, and you will understand this topic very clearly. Now let's discuss the seasons. Under the season, we are going to discuss the first is the cold weather. That is nothing but the winter. But before that, we should know what are seasons. We have said actually in the chapter that we the Indians are having the monsoon type of climate, which is characterized by the distinct seasonal pattern, like we are having the hot weather, cold weather, and rainy seasons. So we are having a distinct seasonal pattern. Not only one season we don't enjoy, we enjoy all the seasons. The weather condition generally changes from one season to other season. Like in March, April, May, we are having the hot seasons, whereas in the June, July, August, and September we have rainy seasons. Then November, December, January, February we are having winter seasons. So we are changing according to the conditions, and the conditions, you know it very well. We have discussed in the chapter that how the conditions have been changing because of the winds, because of the ITC, and many of the factors are there which are changing the seasonal pattern in India. And these are mostly observed in the internal part of the coastal areas. Internal part of the coastal area, that is in the Delhi side, northern side. So internal part of the coastal area, it has been mostly observed. The coastal areas do not experience much variation. The coastal areas is nothing but the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. They don't experience much of the variation in the season, as they have the equivalent summer and the equivalent winter. Not much change in the winter, and they have very, you can say in the overall, they have a pleasant weather for the whole year. Now, on the basis of the seasons, we are having at least four seasons in our country, and those are identified as the cold weather, that is called as winter, the hot weather, that is called as summer, the advancing monsoon is nothing but the rainy, and the retreating monsoon is nothing but the transition. Now let's see what is cold weather. That is nothing but the winters. It begins from the mid-November and stays till Feb. Now, how it begins from the November and how it stays till Feb, we have discussed this, how the winds are been flowing, how the winters are coming. So, I don't think that, because all the content has been cleared now. We have discussed all the content before we started up the chapter. Now, we are just reading it out, how the seasons are changing. Now, the next is, it begins from the December to January, and we have the coldest weather. In December and January is the month we have the coldest weather, and the temperature decreases from the south to north. This is nothing but like in the south we don't have that much extreme cold weather as we are experiencing in the north one. In the south we don't feel that. The movement from the south, if we are moving upward towards the north, we have the extreme cold, and the more upward we go, we can even see the snowfall in the Jammu and Kashmir. So here the temperature decreases as we move upper to the northern side of India. Northeast wind prevails over the country, and they have the dry seasons. Now the winds which are coming from the northern side, when the ITCZ is towards the south side, all the winds which are being there in the northeast are all the dry winds which are coming from the northeast, because there is no oceanic over there. So the winds which are coming over there are coming from there are the dry winds which comes from the northeast. So the small amount, usually sometimes some of those northeast winds, they even carry certain type of a moisture with them. So usually sometimes an amount of a rainfall occurs. If you see the northeast winds which have been reversing from the southwest, when you come back to the northeast, when the winds are coming back, we had the rainfall in December in Tamil Nadu. We have read this. So that is the reason why in that summers, during the summers, that is during the December, we even find sometimes a shower of rain. So that is because of this northern eastern winds which are coming from the Bay of Bengal. Sometimes they carry the moisture from there and they have a rainfall. So Tamil Nadu is an example where this northeast monsoon, they carry the moisture from the Bay of Bengal and they rain in the Tamil Nadu. That is the reason why in Tamil Nadu we have a rain in December month. And even the cyclonic disturbance causes rainfall during the winter, which is called as Mahavat. Cyclonic disturbance, we have discussed that from the Mediterranean Sea, when the cyclonic disturbance comes with those winds, they carry a certain kind of a moisture with them. When they enter into the India, those winds, the cyclonic winds, when they enter into the India, they don't cause any disturbance in India, but they do cause a disturbance in the other countries. But here it is very pleasant one, because during winter we have certain times a rainfall even in the interior part of India. So this is because of the western cyclonic disturbance, which we have discussed in our earlier slide. So here this winters, this kind of a winter, which winter rain which is falling due to the western cyclonic disturbance, the causes of the rainfall during that month, that is during the December month or during the winter season, is called as Mahavat. And they are also useful for the rabi crop, because rabi crops are usually sown in the winter season, so that when the summer comes they start growing. So these rabi crops, we usually don't provide the water, so this here and there the shower, just a slight shower, helps the rabi crops to grow smoothly. So here we can say that the western disturbance, the western cyclonic disturbance, which is a disturbance for the other countries like Iran and Iraq, which is coming after the Mediterranean Sea, it may cause a disturbance over there as a cyclone, but it is pleasant when it comes towards the India. So they are useful for the rabi crops. In peninsular regions also, we do not have a harsh winds. So the peninsular area is nothing but the triangle part of the India. Even there we don't have that harsh winds, the cyclones, the rain. So we have a pleasant weather overall. Only the winters have been enjoyed only by the northern countries, where the interior part have the extreme winters, and the more the upper we go, we even have the minus degrees. So these are the coldest weather of India. The how the winter has been enjoyed by the India. The next is the hot weather season, which is called as summers. It begins from the March to May. Due to the northward movement of the sun, as we have already discussed that the earth revolves around the sun, and the equator, that is the solar insolation, sometimes it is directly towards the equators. Due to the movement of the earth, it sometimes changes towards the tropic of Capricorn, it also changes towards the tropical of circle. So in this way the solar insolation even changes as the earth revolves around the sun. So sometimes even this tropic of Cancer and the tropic of Capricorn even receive the direct sun rays. And because of this, as the sun rays has been changing the place from the equator to the tropic of Cancer and the tropic of Capricorn, even the ITCZ, which is there on the equator, due to the low pressure, wherever the low pressure has been formed, there only the ITCZ moves themselves. So when even the solar insolation is moving from the tropic of Cancer to tropic of Capricorn, wherever the low pressure has been formed, even the ITCZ is also moving. So the complete change in the weathers, the summer, the rainy, everything depends upon the solar insolation. The sun rays are the main important in order to change the weather. This is the main role played by the sun to change the climate, the weather of the whole world. It is not only India, towards the whole world. The sun plays a very important role in changing the climate. What all things, these belts is moving, the circulation of the ocean currents, everything is all done by the solar insolation. Now let's see the characteristics of the hot season. They increase in the temperature over the time. In the hot season you do have the increase in the temperature, but this type of the increase in the temperature you don't find in the peninsular region, because they have a very pleasant weather over there. They have equivalent summer and equivalent winter, not very harsh or extreme summer, not very extreme winters like we have in the interior parts. So mostly interior parts have the extreme summer and the extreme uh, winters, like in Delhi, Punjab and Haryana. This side, these areas are called as an extreme areas. So and mostly because why these areas are having extreme hotness and extreme winters, because the Ganga plains, the low pressure is mostly found, the low pressure is formed in the Ganga plains because of the heatness, because right now the solar insolation is directly towards the tropic of Capricorn. So now when the solar insolation is directly on the tropic of Capricorn, now the sun rays is directly towards the Ganga plains, because of which the highest low pressure belts are being formed over there. So here that is the reason why we have the extreme hotness in that place. And Lu is a specific season now which is observed all over the subcontinents. They are very strong and hot dry winds blowing during this summer seasons, and they blow towards the day over the north and south western India. They blow in both the south and western India, and they are, if we the humans, if we have a direct exposure to this wind, we may fall fatal, because these are not good for the human beings, this loose the hot winds which are blowing. And the storms are very common during this summer seasons in the northern India. You usually find the dust storm where the complete dust is there in the wind. At the times these storms brings temporary relief because it lowers the temperature and brings slightly rain and cool the breezes. Sometimes this storm they even have certain moisture with them, and sometimes they even have showers here and there, because of which this dust storm even looks very pleasant during that period when they are coming towards the India, the northern and the southern side, because these breezes sometimes they even get cold while blowing it. So these dust storms sometimes they give the temporary relief to the human beings. Then it even lowers the temperature and brings the slight rain and cool breezes during that period when the dust storm is having certain moisture with them. During the end of this season, when the season of summer is going to come to an end by usually the May last, when the season comes to an end, you usually have the thunderstorms, violent winds, torrential downs, that is nothing but the cyclone type. Then this accompanied by the hails is nothing but the ole, what you see, the ice which is falling from the clouds. The hails are also observed during this, which is known as Kal Baisakhi in West Bengal. Now why Kal? Because it is been treated as a terror, because the thunderstorms are there, violent winds are coming. That is the reason why it is called as Kal Baisakhi by West Bengal. And we usually have the pre-monsoon showers are also known as a monsoon shower here. We usually have the pre-monsoon shower, which is called as a monsoon shower. Why these pre-monsoon showers are known as a monsoon shower or a mango shower? The wind which comes before the raining season, when there is an end of the rain this summer season, and when there is a welcome for the rainy season, those winds they slightly shower during that period. In the summer season, when it is come to an end, we have a shower during that period, because those showers, slight showers, welcomes the rainy season with a breeze, a slight showering breeze. So these seasons when they welcome, this usually happens in the coastal areas where we observe the rain, and these coastal areas they call these rains as a mango shower. Why mango shower now? Why they have given the mango shower name to those pre-monsoon shower as a mango shower name? This is because during that close of the summer season, when there is a close of summer season, when the summer season is going to an end, and we are welcoming the rainy season with the slight showers. During that period when these showers happens, and when the rainy season is being welcomed by this shower, during this period these mangoes they get yellow in color, and they have been ready to be eaten up with the sweetness. So that is the reason why this rains, the pre-monsoon rains, are called as mango showers. And the next is advancing monsoon, that is nothing but the rainy season. It begins by early June, and they bring rainfall for the whole country. They begins from the tip of the India, as we have said that the tip of India, that the southwest winds they come and they welcome the rainy season from the tip of the India, and then they spread towards the complete whole of the India. How they are spreading it, we have seen that onset of the monsoon. In that heading we have read that how the complete range, the southwest monsoon winds have been spread all over the India. Because now why the southwest monsoons have been welcome? Because of the low pressure which has been formed due to the Ganga plains, due to the Tibet plateaus. There we are having the low pressure belts which are attracting the high pressure belts from the oceanic area, because of which the southwest mountain winds are coming towards the low pressure winds, and these winds are getting certain moisture over there, because of which we are having the rainy season. So we have read this everything. The concept is clear to you all. The only thing is that now we have to just read it, what exactly the rainy season is. So now let's see the characteristics of the advancing monsoon. Southwest winds flowing with the average velocity of 30 km per hour. These winds, they are flowing with the 30 kilometer. Why these winds are flowing with the 30 kilometer per hour? Because these winds are having a moisture with them. They have become very heavy now. So now their speed also got reduced. They are moving with the 30 kilometer per hour, and brings total change in the weather. When they come inside the India, they bring the total change in the weather. But now we were enjoying, before the rainy season, we were enjoying the summer, very extreme summer. It was very hot, and suddenly these southwest winds, they start entering the India, and they just change the complete weather of the whole of India, and they bring rain, and the amount of rainfall varies from one region to other region, as we have seen this, that how the Tamil Nadu is getting the rainfall during the December, not during the period of June, and how these western Ghats are receiving the more amount of the rainfall, and why this Rajasthan is not receiving much of the rainfall. Ladakh is not receiving any of the rainfall because of that. It is just back of the mountains, Himalayan mountains, and these Himalayan mountains, they stop all the southwest winds in order to reach towards the north of the Himalayas. So because of which the Ladakh, they have a very less rainfall as compared to the other regions in India. So the monsoons, they have even breaks in the rainfall. Now what is the rainfall having a breaks? It is not like that from June when the monsoon has arrived. That doesn't mean that they are continuously raining like 15 days. For from June they are continuously raining to the whole of the India. No, they may take certain breaks in middle. From a June, if they have the monsoons have come, they may rain for a 15 days. Then again for the 15 days, they just keep the dry one. They will be dried. There will be no rain, but the weather will be pleasant, but no rain. They don't continuously rain. Now, why they have southwest winds when flowing carry certain moisture? As I said, that they carry certain moisture with them and they have to rain, but it depends upon the moisture they are carrying, and it also depends upon the area where this southwest winds are blowing, because even that area should have the low pressure. With that low pressure, this moisture will have an condensation, evaporation, the clouds will be formed, then only the rain will be there. And if there is no condensation, no evaporation, then there will be a no rain. So even the moisture and the low pressure, the condensation, evaporation, all these things matters when there is a rain. Formation of the cloud should be there, proper formation of the cloud, then only the rain will be there. So the rainfall varies from one place to another place. So all this depends upon the solar insolation. As I said, that the solar insolation plays a very important role in all the weather conditions. So thus it has a wet and dry spell. They are interspread with the rainless intervals, like they have breaks in the middle. Tropical depression also have an impact over it. Now these tropical areas, we get cyclones during the in the side of Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea. There those are areas are called as a tropical area, because these are falling between the 23 degree 20 to 23 degree, and we are having the tropical areas over there. These tropical areas, they have certain cyclones, due to which we have rainfall in the coastal areas. So here the Arabian Sea is having the cyclone, we'll have the rainfall in the Western Ghats. If the Bay of Bengal is having the cyclone, then eastern coastal areas will have the rainfall. So because of this tropical cyclone, even they creates a rainfall. So the impact of uncertainty for monsoons are also there overall the India. Overall here, like I said, that there is a change in from one region to other region. Some region they have more rainfall, some region they have less rainfall. It varies from region to region. Even overall uncertainty is even there. This year if you have more of the rainfall, the next year might be you don't have that much rainfall what you have the last year. So there is an uncertainty in the monsoons even. And usually the farmers in India, they wait for this season, because each and everything, as we know that the India is an agricultural country, and all the farmers, they depend on this rainfall, and we welcome this rainy seasons, so with love and affection, because of which many of the names, many of the festivals have been celebrated by the Indians. Many names are Mahakal, those Kal Baisakhi is given, and Mahavat name is given to this rainy season. So much of the names have been given to this weather in order to celebrate, because we, the farmers, of India, they celebrate these rainy seasons. So this all depends upon the monsoon trough, which moves from the northern to the southward. So here the trough has been created, then only we get the rainfall. These points have been explained to you, just go through it, you will understand it. Now, how the distribution of rainfall is there overall India? The rainfall over India is unevenly distributed. Like in the western coastal areas and the northern eastern part, they receive over about 400 centimeter of rainfall. Western coast is nothing but the Western Ghats, and the northern eastern part is nothing but the Purvanchal mountain side. So why we are having more rainfall over there? You know that how the Purvanchal mountains are stopping this southwest monsoon, and the Western Ghats are stopping those southwest monsoon, because of which the clouds have been there and they rain over there. The cloud stays over there because of this altitudes, and they start raining over there only. So whereas a part of the western Rajasthan adjoining areas receives less than 60 centimeter of the rainfall. So here one area is having a 400 centimeter of the rainfall, and the other area is having the 60 centimeter of the rainfall. Now why Rajasthan is having the less rainfall? Because of that high pressure belts which have been formed near the western side of the Rajasthan, because of which the rainfalls are low over there, and we are having a dry regions over there. Then the rainfall is equally low in the interior part of the Deccan Plateaus. Even we don't find much of the rainfall in the interior part of the Deccan Plateau, because the Western Ghats, they are not allowing the southwest winds to enter in the plateau area, and this lift, which is the altitude which has been created by this Western Ghats, they don't allow, and that is the reason why the winds, they get tilt and they move towards the Mumbai side. So that is the reason why this Deccan Plateaus, they don't have much rainfall. So similarly, the part of the Ladakh also receive very less rainfall. Now why Ladakh is not having a rainfall? Because it is towards the north of the Himalayas, and these Himalayas are standing in front, so that the whatever the southwest winds are coming with the moisture should stay in India and have a rain over there. So now, because the Ladakh is situated towards the north, that is back of the Himalaya, that is the reason why these winds which are carrying the moisture cannot reach the Ladakh, and that is the reason why even the Ladakh is having the less rainfall of around 20 centimeter. And the rest of the part of the country receives moderate rainfall, and snowfall is restricted only to the Himalayan regions. So along with this uneven distribution, the annual rainfall is also, we are having, is highly variable in overall India if we see. Now monsoon is considered as a unifying bond. Now how? Why? Why it is called as a unifying bond? Let's see. See, we are having a beautiful physical features of India, like we are have which helps in having a monsoon in India. And the first physical feature which has really played a very important role in order to call India as a monsoon type of a climate is nothing but the Himalayas. So these Himalayas, if we did not had such a beautiful feature, we did not had the monsoons which we are enjoying the complete year. How it has been spread to all over the India just because of the Himalayas. These altitudes, they stop all the southwest winds which have been flowing uh, towards the Himalayas, and because of this altitude, the great height, all the winds, they stays in India and they rain over there. They spread in all over the India, and they start raining and giving a beautiful monsoon to the India. So the great physical feature, the Himalaya, plays a very important role in order to have a good monsoon in India. Now how monsoon is unifying? See, the entire phenomenon, such as a landscape, animals, plants, life, everything revolves around monsoon. Landscape is nothing but, see how the vegetation is being done. This is completely dependent on the monsoon. If you have studied about this natural vegetation and wildlife, you will understand this point. According to the monsoon, we are having the vegetation. According to the vegetation, we are having the animals over there. We cannot say in Rajasthan we have seen the polar bear. Polar bear is having a certain climate. According to that climate, we'll find the polar bear over there. Bengal tiger, according to the climate, will have the Bengal tigers over there. Crocodiles, according to the season, according to the climate, will have the crocodiles in that region. So even this This phenomenon, the monsoon, is an entire phenomenon. This plays a very important role in order to have a proper landscape for a good vegetation. It also plays a very important role for the animals, even the plants, which vegetation can be done under that monsoon. Everything depends upon monsoon. Whole agriculture calendar depends on monsoon. That doesn't mean that the farmers will stand and say that come, let's go now, like in the April month or a May month. They will not go and sow the seeds. They will wait for the rainy season. So in that way we can say that the whole agriculture calendar depends on monsoon, because sowing of the seeds depends upon the monsoon. Then only the seeds will grow into a beautiful plants. So they wait for this monsoon. The life of the people, including their festivals, revolve around monsoon. Like I said, that all the festivals have been named after the monsoon. So now Baisakhi has come after the Baisakhi, so and so season will be having an entry after that. This So the monsoon plays a very important role even for the festivals which revolve around the India, because we are the the India is a country of the abundant festivals. We are having the number of festivals over here which we cannot count even. The whole country is eagerly waited for the arrival of the monsoon. We eagerly wait for this monsoon because many of the business, many of the festivals, many of the things agricultural are dependent on monsoon. So we eagerly wait for this monsoon. It provides water to the rivers and ponds, which unites the nation. See, now the rivers are like we have seen the distributaries, how the tributaries and the distributaries are there. If these rains are there in the Himalayan region, they will definitely have a distributor. The same rainfall which have been filled the Ganga river. This Ganga river will have many distributaries. Again, this will distribute the water in the different regions. So here we are unifying it. So it provides the water to the rivers and the ponds, which unites the whole nation. So yes, we can say that yes, monsoon is considered to be a unifying bond for the Indian culture, Indian country, as we are most awaited for this season.